guys, welcome to QiS TV. I'm JD and today we've got some really special guests with us. So first up we have Lyndon Wood, our very own celebrity TV star. He has his own TV show on Sky called Fortune Hunters. He also has his own businesses and he is a very successful man in his own right, and he has amazing shoes. Next up we have Binda. Sorry, also he's a social network guru. Next up we have Binda, who is a lawyer. She is a female entrepreneur. She is also a mum, and she has just recently wrote her very own book called Real Property Wealth for Women, so look out for that. Next up we have Mr. Eric Ho. I'm sure you guys all know him. #1 business motivational speaker. He also obviously has his own businesses, and he's also a business mentor and international speaker. We also have Miss Julianne Ponan. She is very successful. She's only 25 years old and she is the director, founder and CEO of Creative Nature, which is a superfood brand. And she actually launched her products into Tesco's and places like Ocado. And she also doubled her turnover in just 1 year. So how impressive is that? And last but not least, we have Mr. Steve Overage here, whose tagline is to empower people to change their financial landscape. He leads a team of over 1,500 people, is that right, Steve? 1,500 people? Right. Yeah. And he's also a wealth and leadership management expert. So we just have a couple of questions to ask them all today. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, first up, what were the most important factors that contributed to your success? It's open to everyone.
Lyndon. The most important factors to my success, laser focus. So it's important that you have an idea, concept, you launch with it, stop thinking about all the negativity and people around you that say don't do it or don't give up your job and so on, and be absolutely laser focused on what you're out to achieve.
What do you do about people who tell you no and tell you
It's important to take on opinion, but just make your own decisions. Yeah, so you get negative people around you, don't ignore negative opinion because there can be some subtle warning signs there, but make up your own mind.
So making your own choices.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Anyone else want to add to that?
I agree with that.
I really agree with that.
So Eric is just going to agree with everything that Lyndon says tonight.
What was the question?
The question is, what are the most important factors that contribute to your success?
The most important factors, I think it's doing it. I think it's taking action. It's just doing it. A lot of people think, for example, I've been in business since 21, but I think a lot of people think about going into business, and they always think about going into business. They have these cool ideas. They tell people about all these cool ideas, but they never really get around to it. And they're trying to make a business work on paper, which will never happen. And one great advice I got many years ago was, to be good at business, you just need to be in business. And you make the mistakes, that's fine, but we have the ability to adapt. We can just, we can keep tweaking it, and we get there in the end, as long as we're willing to keep going at it. And, so I think it's just taking action, doing it. Yeah.
So there's a lot of people out there who would label themselves as procrastinators. So what advice would you give these people? Because they will give their excuse, but I just procrastinate a lot and I just don't get it done. I just don't do it.
I think the key is recognize that failure is when you learn. So expect that you're going to fall over, but the idea is that you fall over and you get back up again. Failure is actually a real positive thing if you learn from it. And I think so many people don't start anything because they're just afraid of failure. So if you can actually say, well, okay, I'm going to fall over. Surround yourself with good people. So you've got people to pick you back up again, give you the right kind of coaching and mentoring, then you just got to go do it. Like Eric said, it's just about taking action and trying, because you can't do anything if you don't try first.
So there's always a fear of stepping out and taking that first step. So you talked about fear and overcoming fear. So what would your advice be to not be fearful of that first step and to just go into it and take that second step already?
For me, I think you've got to do your research. You've got to obviously get a good strategy, have a clear, concise mental picture about where you want to be, and then you just got to do it. I think so many times we can procrastinate. We know we want to get to this position. We might even have a good strategy, but we maybe second guess the strategy, and think you just got to test it, and then if it doesn't work, then you've got to go and try something different. You know that. So
I think it's got to do with having that burning desire for something. I think the people who procrastinate is because they haven't got a strong enough why. They don't know why they. You know, people say, "Oh, you need to make money." Okay, I need to make money, but it's not that exciting for them because they don't know. I think money aside it doesn't really drive you enough to keep you going every single day, because money is just paper at the end of the day. It's not like you look at the paper and go, whoa, you know, this paper is amazing. It's more what the paper can bring, right? I mean, for me, it was in the beginning of my journey, it was more to do with my dad kept telling me, Eric, you need to make money, and saying that if I don't make money, then I'm useless, basically. And it pushed me. It was good, you know. And the reason why I wanted to make money in the first place was because I wanted to do my dad proud. I just wanted to know at that stage when, I mean, it happened when I was 24. I finally got the Aston Martin. The first thing I did was drive it home. I just wanted to see my dad's face when he comes out the door, you know, and that's priceless. And I think it's understanding the why behind it. I mean, what is the purpose? Why do you want to do all of this? And money isn't. Yeah, as long as you don't put money as the driver, I think you can find the purpose behind it a lot better.
So what advice would you give people to find purpose? I mean, a lot of people, they'll sit there and they'll think, well, nice house would be nice. An i8 would be really, really nice, you know, Ferrari.
But he doesn't like
nice
he doesn't like BMWs. That's the thing, you see.
Yeah, he paid £100,000 just for the sat nav, was it?
Yeah, the sat nav, the car came free.
So he messages me. He said, "Look at this. It's my new toy." I said, "Look at it." I said, "Okay." This was like 2 days ago getting the car. I said, "Oh, it's okay." And he said, "Yeah, but I don't like BMWs." I said, "Oh, interesting." I said, "How much did you spend on it?" I said, "120k." He said, "No, only 100k." I said, okay.
That's fair change.
Yeah. It's when you get to a point where you make too much money, and then that play jar gets too big, and you don't know what to spend it on. It's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but you know what, Eric? I started at 19 in the insurance business, in an old man's industry, as I stated to you down earlier on. Average age 56. Knocking doors, trying to sell to businesses, and no one would buy from me because I looked 14. And I thought, well, do you give up or do you reroute? And I rerouted, and the business model from 24 years ago is identical today, which is telephone based. So I found that was ringing customers and actually selling policies because they couldn't see me. And the business model today is identical. So it's a call center arrangement, but the difference is technology. So it's about having that killer instinct of not giving up and finding a way to make it happen. And in answer to your question, you can't make someone find a purpose. Yeah, it's either in them or they discover it themselves. You can't give them advice on how to find your purpose. Yeah? Do you know what I mean? It's either inside or it's not inside, my opinion.
So if someone was really lost, like they didn't really know what they wanted, they just know that they want a nice house, they want a nice car, they maybe want a lot of money and they want to be happy, but they don't actually know how to get there, what they need to do to get there, what would your advice be?
Number one, don't focus on the money.
that's right.
Your passion. You've just got to focus on what I found is chasing that get-rich-quick schemes, because I've come from no financial education, so going into one scheme after another, by the time you know it, you get into it, and then you've got to develop it and so you learn something, you've got to go deeper into that subject to become the expert. How many things can you become an expert at? And so you've got to focus on what I found is what drives you, what's your passion, what do you keep going back to when you just think, if I have money, one day I'll do that. One day, you know, by the time, I always say in 5 years' time, you would have arrived. The question is where? Are you still thinking? Are you still at the beginning stage thinking, should I start someday when I've got this, when I've got the education? Or are you already halfway there, reaping the rewards? So it's actually just getting off your ass and doing it. So.
Sorry, go on.
But I think that you can take that risk and you can take that jump. But then, say a week into it and you're sitting by yourself in your office, you're back to square one thinking, oh, do I really want to do this? Because you're not getting money coming in. you're probably in debt because you've actually taken a loan or something to actually fund this, and you're probably not getting any money coming in to actually the business to keep turning over. So you ask yourself, oh, can I actually carry on? And you've got that negativity back on you. And I think it's at that point you decide whether you actually want to carry on or not. Because there's so many people out there, I know so many entrepreneurs, they start a business because they think, yeah, it's going to be great, and I'm going to earn loads of money, and I'm going to do this, do that, and I'm going to do what I love. But they have to get into it after those first few weeks, first few months. If they can then carry on, that's when they know that they're in it for the long haul and they want to make it work. I don't think it's just the leap, just taking that jump, for me anyway.
I think just to add to what Eric said as well is that it is about, we were talking about this earlier today, about, you know, your why and the emotion leads you to do things. So I think for me, you know, I had £95,000 of personal debt, you know, just not that many years ago. And then I knew that I didn't want my son to grow up thinking debt was a normal thing, because that's how I grew up. So debt was just normal. So I found that, you know, that really drove me, that, you know, he's like 6 now. Then that was going to be a success for me. I'd feel really good about that, and be able to train him and coach him in doing smarter things with money. And so now, you know, even though he's 6, he understands the value of money and saving up for things and spending things, and he even asks for receipts, you know, when he goes to the shop. You know, I'm training him to, you know, do his tax returns and so on. So, you know, train them while they're young. But I think for me that it's that emotional thing. How would it feel if he grows up thinking, you know, debt is normal? How would that impact his life? And so for me that was a real driving force, and that's an emotional connection. So I think people have to connect emotionally with what that goal is or that objective, because that's what really drives you.
So what was the question again?
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing.
What was the question again?
The question...
The
Well, I
question
think
was
it
about
starts-
purpose. Was purpose.
Yes, it was
yeah.
about purpose, sorry.
Because this is something you know, I actually learned. I know some of you were actually at the webinar a few days ago with Jared Robbins. I actually learned something from him, where some people, they're just lost. You just don't know what to do. You just think there's so many things that I can do, and they say, you know, follow my passion, follow my dream. I don't know what my passion is, and I don't know what my dream is. So what is my purpose? You know, everyone talks about, you know, do what you love, and it's like, okay, but that's not going to make you money. And I think the balance to be able to figure that out is there's 3 circles. The first thing is what you love, what you really love doing, right? And then the second circle is what you're good at doing. And then the third circle is how can this serve the world? So for example, how can it serve or solve a problem or add value to the world? Because things that can add value, obviously you can monetize that stuff, right? Because it's needed or wanted in this world. And in the middle of that, if you name all of the things in these 3 areas, and then you pinpoint in the middle of this is the sweet spot where you'll be able to find something where you can serve and you can love and you're good at it as well, which will, most of the time, that's where that purpose is. Yeah, I thought that was good, amazing. Yeah.
Okay, so following on from that then, a lot of people are in business to change the world. A lot of people want to help people. And a lot of people feel like they're in business to help and feel like they're in business to change people. So what is your mission to change the world? And why are you changing the world? Or how are you changing the world?
For me, for my business, I know Eric's does a lot with orphanages in Kenya, so it's nothing in comparison to that yet, but it hopefully will be one day. But for us, we want to give back to the local communities that we source from. So we source from all around the world, like Peru, Brazil, Hawaii, and we want to build the local economy and give back to the farms, so specifically like 10% back of whatever we buy from them, and it goes back straight back into the local farms, and that will then build their economy in turn.
That's awesome.
What made you choose that?
Because we were sourcing from all around the world, and because my father's from South America, and I saw how he lived, and actually he took me there quite a few times, and we saw the showers were a mess, and just going from like living quite a nice life, and then actually seeing they're really happy with nothing, but they don't have the skills to monetize anything. So my father set up actually a business out there as well, like just small shops, and actually started employing the local people. And that's why I thought, well, if we're actually buying from these farms, there's no reason why we can't give back to these farms and help them grow. And in turn, our business will grow because they will have more economy, more technology to actually manufacture.
good.
That's awesome.
Good. That's great.
That's beautiful. Now you shut everyone else up. Everyone's like, think of a mission. Think of a mission.
Well, my mission is my normal life mission, which is I believe in energy and balance. And if I drive an expensive car, no, I'm not going to buy an expensive car for someone else, right? If I drive an expensive car or if I'm a bit lavish with a holiday, I make sure I give back in other ways. And one of the ways is we have a local community fund that people can apply for online. And we allocate to whoever a panel within my office decide to give some money to. We do that, and we just paid for a trip for a load of old people on a minibus to go down to the beach and have some fish and chips.
Sorry, how do you apply for that?
You've got to be something
Yeah.
I like a beach, I like fish and chips. Yeah? But also, I do random acts of charitable things. So, for example, someone in business, down on their luck, had access to some grant money, but needed to demonstrate that they had £20,000 in the bank. So I put £20,000 in their bank on a trust that would pay it back in a month's time. Thankfully they did. Yeah, but it means they got the money. So it's just sort of random acts throughout your daily life. You know, you see someone down the luck there, run out of petrol, someone approached me, I probably got ripped off actually. In hindsight, I stood there and I thought, should I have done that? Because I think I've just been ripped off. To the point I actually drove around the petrol station to see if she was actually done that. And she was actually, she was fine. But she stopped me in the service station, little baby in the back, and so she's out of petrol, she's about 60 miles from home, purses, whatever. I think I got ripped off, so don't get me wrong, I'm not sure. And you know what, and this sounds a bit lavish as well, the only thing I had on was a £50 note. So I gave her the £50 note. Yeah, she must have thought happy. Right? She went to Toys R Us and everything.
£10 of fuel in.
But she was in the petrol station filling up, I probably had to change. So,
Yeah.
so just random acts of kindness, really.
Anybody else, anything there?
I'm just going to say my mission is to really inspire and empower women so that they can actually financially take control of their destiny, so that as a result it will impact the next generation. Because I know that how difficult it was being a single parent and what my journey I had to do and all the mistakes I've made, and being a family lawyer, children being taken away from their parents, and women suffering, and men, of course, suffering from domestic violence, where they don't actually share. So I want to make sure that I can sort of impact as many women as I can to financially take control of their lives. Because when the money thing is sorted out, they can actually start living and make a difference in their children's lives. So I normally, as a family, I still cling on to being a family lawyer because I love family law. However, there was an impact that happened, an incident that happened that I can no longer be a lawyer anymore. So I like to go back and go to the domestic violence units to actually educate the women how to actually take control of themselves and make sure that when they separate, there doesn't have to be a battle between the husband or the boyfriend and the wife. You know, it's remember the children. And, you know, if you can actually work together, then, you know, you've got a better world. So that's my mission.
It's really powerful.
That is very
And I think
powerful.
it's the purpose, it's the reason behind it. I think the story is really powerful.
Yeah.
And I think it says a lot, isn't it? Because you're actually on the same stage as Kim Kiyosaki, aren't you? When is it?
Oh yes, next week.
Next week.
Next weekend. She was.
So that's really empowering women.
Yeah, yes, she was one of my role models. So financially, regarding the finances.
Mhm.
So it's an honour and a privilege to actually be on the same stage as her. So that was great.
For me, it's, you know, I'm a big believer in that in my business, we're very much a mission-focused business over a commission-focused business, about doing what's right for people 100% of the time. You know, maybe make less money sometimes, but you sleep at night. And, you know, I guess for me, I'm very fortunate because my business is very much focused on practically empowering people, with the relevant skills to change their financial landscape. So, you know, going into families' homes to show them how to accelerate their mortgage, how to get out of debt in a practical way, not just hope and wish and dream it all happens, but how do you apply a strategy today to change your life? And so, having gone from that real position of debt myself, you know, I can really empathise with those people that have maybe the bailiffs at the door, or the red letters, and you know, don't want to open their post and things like that. So, you know, for me, I feel very fortunate because I get to kind of do. It's like I don't have to go to a charity or do. I mean, I do that stuff too, but I'm just really doing stuff on a real practical level, like every day, and have a whole team of people doing that, sort of making an impact. So, you know, I think that is just a real privilege for me. So.
I mean, I had the privilege of interviewing the CEO of Genistar a couple of months back, Jeff, and he talked about the law of sowing and reaping. Is that what it is? So how has contributing back to community contributed to your own personal successes? And do you think it has contributed to your personal successes?
I mean, in my case, you know, I became debt-free by getting involved in this company, Genistar, and learning the principles they teach and taking action and applying them. So for me, I kind of got a massive benefit just by being involved. Now the added benefit now is that I get to earn a six-figure income helping people get out of that situation, and the clients don't have to pay me for that. So that's pretty cool that you can give all this information and point them in the right direction where they can get better value, get help, get support, and it actually pays and they don't pay you. So, you know, for me, the benefit's really been, number one, the education and being empowered to make smarter decisions myself, and number two, the payoff in actually empowering people, not only families, but also people within our business to go out and help more families, because, you know, I really believe that your impact determines your income. So that's my story.
It's the object of why I do it in the first place. It's about, for me, it's about doing something which isn't related to business, because my life is entire business. It's about doing something not related to business. I don't measure it. I don't expect an ROI on it. It's just something you do.
I like that.
Yeah.
I really like that.
For me, my mission has helped me to help my family. So, for example, my daughter has been on holiday 6 times this year. And which month are we on? We're in June. And also to help my mom, and to my brother and my sisters are really fearful of debt, and they keep telling me to stop buying houses, and it becomes an addiction, I have to say.
Buying houses?
Buying houses. Because when you just can't get away from it, because when you see a good deal, you have to go for it. I love the negotiation.
I love how you talk about it like it's Lego.
But as long as you know how to play the game right in the first place, then it's wonderful. But my family are still scared. And they keep telling me, stop buying more houses, and, you know, haven't you got enough? And, you know, you just never have enough, because you can impact the next generation. And I'm helping my brothers and sisters formulate their pension pots, because they can't, or they refuse, to look that far ahead. And I know when they come to retire, they will need my support. And also leaving a legacy for my nephews and nieces. They've all got their houses, and Jasmine goes, Jasmine's my daughter, as long as you don't give the London houses, Mum, that's okay, you can now give the other houses away. So we've come to a compromise there. So each of my nephews and nieces have got their little pots of portfolio that they don't know about yet. And my brothers and sisters are pensions.
They will soon.
They will soon.
Sky next week.
So you wanted me to take this bit out, yeah?
But it's just actually helping. For example, my brothers and sisters, we said, my mum was 60, and I said, let's go on holiday. Mum hasn't been on a holiday, family holiday, all 14 of us. Got no time, got no money. My sister works for the council and needs 1 year. 1 year to get an annual leave. I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow. Never, annual leave for 1 year. And next thing I said, right, your flights are paid for, your hotel books to Orlando, and your car's paid for, the theme park tickets. Do you know what? Their suitcases were packed quicker than mine. So it's actually making a difference in little things and taking them on a holiday and making a difference.
So,
Yeah.
anything else you want to
Oh well, I think that you know, this whole making a difference, going out to change the world, going out to add value, solve problems, help people, all the rest of it. For me, you know, honestly, it's been the last, say, 4 or 5 years where I've actually realized that that's what it's about. Making money early on was because I was pretty much pushed to, hey, you know, this is the only way you can go. You need to make money to become successful. But then at the end of the day, when I look back at the businesses that I've started and did very well in, I have been adding a lot of value. I've been solving problems and I've been adding value. But from, say, 3-4 years ago, when I started to understand that that's what it's about, it's really went onto a whole new level. Whereby today, you know, you say this whole mission and stuff, and Julian was saying before about, you know, going out to Kenya. To be honest, anyone can do that stuff. You know, it's like, yes, we bought a 4-acre piece of land. The 4-acre piece of land costs like, I don't know, £5,000 or something like that, right? So it's not really that. It's not in terms of monetary. It doesn't cost that much. The orphanage cost us maybe, I don't know, 3,000 something pounds to build the first orphanage anyway, and we started from there. But what I realized, you know, that there's a lot of I mean, we're talking about helping people and how we help people. For me, it's been quite personal in this journey where I used to give away a lot of money to help people, but I think it got to a point where I found that the money doesn't actually help people. This is my personal view on it. I don't know what everyone's view is on this, but I was giving out money. I was buying clothes. I was buying your books and your medication for all these kids out in Africa. But it wasn't helping them, because the moment I came back to UK, they're still stuck, right? And you can buy them toys. It makes them happy. But to be honest, a lot of these volunteer trips, you go and volunteer Africa, I believe that it's actually the benefit of the person who's going out as a volunteer. It's for them to feel the satisfaction, for them to feel the contributions. But to be honest, the moment you leave that kid out there, they're stuck again. And when I started to realize that, and I started to, I mean, now we're working on social entrepreneurship, teaching them how to farm and make money for themselves, and to work on sustainability, right? And I feel that's where the future is, but the future is in education. And that's why I love what I do now, because I'm able to travel the world, speak to thousands of people all around the world, and educate them about success, about business, or, you know, how to take the right steps. And I feel education is key. Education is the biggest gift you could give anybody. So personally, I don't think it's about giving. I don't think it's about giving money. I think it's about teaching people, and how can you inspire more people and make that big impact, you know? And that's
why I guess we're doing this as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So on the topic of education then, a lot of people will use the excuse, oh, I didn't go to school, so I can't be successful because I was a dropout, or because because I'm not smart, I'm not book smart, I don't read, I'm dyslexic. They have all these excuses of why they're not successful. So what advice would you give these people on how to get their lives to the next level, or how to educate themselves so that they can get to the next level?
Well, first of all, dyslexic is the new cool. If you're not dyslexic, you need to be. I mean, since Richard Branson said he's dyslexic, everyone's dyslexic, right? I mean, I suddenly, you know, I like today I can't read too. You know, it's just like it's the new cool. People are like, whoa, you're dyslexic, you're successful. You know, it is the new cool. People say it all the time. There's nothing wrong with being dyslexic, because you don't. I'm not smart. I was never smart at school, and you know, I got D's and E's and fails, and I dropped out at 19 because, you know, I just couldn't take that anymore, right? It's like, what's the point? So, what's the excuse?
I think it's a lot of parents. For example, my parents were always education, education, education. My dad wasn't. My dad had nothing. He actually started his business and he had 2 dustbin bags, and he built a great businesses actually in properties and everything. But my mum was all about, no, business is too risky, you can't do this, there's no way you could do this, you go to school. She put me in all the best private schools, she paid thousands of pounds for it. And I used to say, every night I used to come home and cry, so I don't want to go to school, I hate it, please don't send me the next day, I'll do anything. Eventually my dad said, let her pick the school she wants to go to. And I said, okay. So I picked a state school that was actually it was known as the drug school and the bad school. And, no.
Is that why you picked it?
Yeah.
Be careful of those bars that she's giving
I picked it because I was like, right, I'm going to choose the worst school possible. And I picked it, and I went round, and I absolutely loved it. I actually loved the whole. I met so many different people there, and
There was a good happy feel around.
You don't remember much of it. It was really good.
Happy feel.
it turned out though I didn't. My grades were lower in the private school than they were in the state. But at the end of the day, I think it's you've got to work yourself. It's not about what grades you've got on paper. Like paper is nothing. For me, I actually don't. When someone sends their CV to us now, and they go Oxford or Cambridge, I literally go, I can't be bothered to interview them. To be honest, if I'm completely honest,
That's
Because you like your style.
because
They work very hard for that.
but they come in and then they think they know more about your business than you know.
Okay. I got it.
And to me, they need to be taken down a peg or two sometimes. Sometimes. Not saying that.
Anyone from Oxford or Cambridge?
No. My family basically had no education. My mum and dad came to the UK in the 50s, and they were factory workers, and they really worked hard. But mum and dad didn't know how to speak English or write in English either. And I was brought up to be a housewife, and at the age of 10, I would have to put my Indian clothes on and then go into the kitchen and start cooking, and look after my brothers and sisters as well. So I had an arranged marriage. I was always told that I was going to have an arranged marriage, and I never rebelled. I was always a good girl and always listened to my parents, what they said. But at the end of the day, it was always about trying to do the best. I wanted to be the best because I wanted to please my parents. And so it was always achieving, saying, will they be happy, and trying to be the good girl. And unfortunately, my marriage didn't work out. And that's when I actually got financial education, by having to stand on my own 2 feet. So it's always about, forget all the education and everything, it's actually about believing in yourself and what you want to do, and going out and having no limitations, because you're the only limitation on yourself.
I think it's that, we always hear the saying about knowledge is power, but it is really the application of knowledge that's the real power. And there's a lot of really smart, I say it often, there's a lot of really smart kind of broke people out there that got great, education, but they don't do anything. I had a decent education. I left school at 17, but I went to a pretty good school. But my problem for the first kind of 20 years of my career was I was just really lazy. I had no idea what I really wanted to do. I just kind of figured I could just achieve it whenever, and I didn't have any systems or real motivation to do it. I just kind of thought it's going to happen eventually. One day I'm bound to make it, not realizing that I've actually got to make it, to get given it. So for me, that was education wasn't really a big thing. It was motivation more than anything else.
Yeah. I think we've all got a background, a sad story, something to tell, whether it's hard upbringing, whether it's bullying or whatever. And I left school at 14 because parents divorced and all that stuff went on.
Okay, you win.
Very insular child, skinny as hell, self to self, one friend only. If a group came round, I'd disappear. School to school, England to Wales, new school, all boys school, rough as they come. Offered 6 fights in my first day. Was scared the living daylights out of me. Joined.
By the way, he's a cage fighter. I don't even realise this. Yes.
Joined the mixed martial arts. Back then it was just straightforward martial arts. Club, which built a bit of confidence in myself. Decided at 13 and a half, 14, didn't like school, didn't fit the school system. So I just didn't bloody go anymore. That was as simple as that. Got caught 4 months in. Didn't care about that, still went. And bear in mind, I was a good kid. I was not a naughty child. But I still had this somehow internal ability not to go to school anymore. Yeah? And I bombed out, sleeping in the car at 18, nowhere to live, parents singing, all that stuff going on, and got a job in insurance on commission only. I thought, well, I'm working my nuts off, same pressure as being self-employed for half the earnings, arguing with the boss, I hate the word boss, but the boss, for my money at the end of every month, and at 19, went off and set up the insurance business. So again, when everybody's got a background and a sad story to tell, it gives you the killer instinct inside to absolutely have that laser focus and overcome any obstacles.
That's right. I think that's right.
It's using what's happened to you, and not as a story, but actually using it as a driving force.
Yeah.
That's what I've always looked at. If somebody said to me, "You can't do this," haha, thank you. I'm really grateful to them of any obstacles, because that means I'm going to show you I'll do it.
I think that's just the difference between successful people and not successful people. People chasing success, right? It's just that difference of, like, I'm going to do it anyway, right?
But how do you overcome obstacles? Like, a lot of people have a lot of big obstacles, what they would call big obstacles. So stories that have happened in their lives and things that have happened in their lives. How do you overcome those obstacles and say to yourself at the end of the day that it's going to be okay, everything's going to be fine, everything's going to work out, my business is still going to be fine, and everything's going to be peachy?
Okay, can we just stop there a second? Stop. Okay, right. So can we introduce in Kamal Hyman? Kamal Hyman?
Yeah.
Can we give him a round of applause? Do you want to show them what you got first?
Yeah?
Yeah?
Yeah, sure.
Just go for it.
Alright, cool. Life's an uphill battle, where we're herded like sheep, they milk dry like we're cattle. They suck out ambition, it seems, by the age of 18, and the word realistic is the death of every dream. So our dreams remain tamed and ambitions contained. So to build someone else's dreams, the only choice that remains. Be wealthy or broke is something you choose. Marcus said we were born to win, then programmed to lose. Brainwashed by the blues or the news and the negative views of people who can't see the vision or route that we choose. Unable to think for ourselves, so options remain closed, due to limitations that someone else has imposed because doors were closed on their biggest ambition. So in return, they turn and close the door on your biggest mission, but it's a decision whether or not to enter their transmission. See, everybody's trying to be an optician, thinking they're qualified to judge your vision. If you want ambition, I've got plenty, not blinded by anybody. My vision's 2020. So hold on to your dream and give your defense. No one ever achieved anything while sitting on the fence. So jump off to whichever side you feel is best. One side you jump off, work hard to be your best. The other side you join the rest and you settle for less. Less than you want, but worse, less than you deserve. Why anybody would want to use that side is absurd. But I've heard that it feels a lot safer and feels more secure. But realistically, it's what the generations have done before. So people need to wake up and realise it's not the only route anymore. Study past the age of 21 and start near the bottom of the corporate ladder when you're done. With 1,000 other students with the same degree. University graduates signing on is something now normal to see. Now don't get me wrong. I'm not saying forget university and look deep into what you want to create diversity. Step up and stand out in more ways than one. Once your mindset's right, the battle's already won. And if you can diversify, you'll be one of the first to fly. If you choose to fly, make sure it's the highest height or be shot down by someone who's jealous of your flight. See, too much of us are frightened to step out of our comfort zone. It feel that whilst chasing our dreams, we'll be left alone. The amount of people I see setting for less is mental. Just getting by without being influential. My dad's always taught me to hate the word potential. And I'm not surprised because it means you're not achieving what you would if your mind was applied. So set doubters, negativities and drama aside. The possibilities are endless, so you decide. I mean, it's the 21st century. Ain't gonna tell me what's possible. We ain't told the Wright brothers building a plane was impossible. In a world where a message can travel the globe the second I type, I could walk into a room, touch a switch and there's light. Where the Queen sat down to watch a street dance crew. The equivalent to a PC is now an iPad 2, where the world's fastest man from one of the world's smallest places, and thanks to Facebook, the world's full of familiar faces. We sent Neil Armstrong to the moon, a rover to a planet, yet present you with the opportunity and you start to panic. You start to question yourself like, what can I achieve? You start to beat yourself up and doubt your own ability, and tell yourself your excuse so many times it becomes the truth. So instead of looking for evidence, why don't you become the proof? If it's too good to be true, then it probably is. What kind of message is that for us to preach to our kids? So I've got no time at all for negativity. I surround myself with people who bring out the best in me through thick and thin when life is testing me. So I believe in myself. I want to do my best, stay focused on goals and be sure to invest because David Peach said I should live off my interest. I wrote this poem called Situation is Dire. We're here to do one thing, and that's make sure we inspire. So if you're just a little inspired to aim a little bit higher, then why wait? Carpe diem, that means seize the day. Just be a little bit better than you were yesterday. Find someone you can look up to and follow their steps. Ask them to help you succeed to a new level of success. I thank Eric Ho for stretching me. That's one of my mentors bring out the best in me. We're jumping out the rat race and building a QiS legacy. Peace.
That's why Anthony Robbins tweeted him. That was it. Anyway, Lyndon's turn.
Okay, guys, so we have Kamal Hyman with us. Kamal is 21?
Yes.
21-year-old, our very own superstar. And as you just heard, that was his very own rap that he wrote, and it was retweeted by Tony Robbins. Kamal is also a motivational speaker, and he was also the Olympic torchbearer for 2012 London Olympics. Welcome, Kamal.
Thank you very much.
You joined us just in time. The question was, let's just ask a different question. Obstacles. What obstacles have you guys had to overcome? How have you overcome the obstacles? And what advice would you give to people on how to overcome their obstacles when their stories seem to be bigger than their own lives?
Well, I've had lots of obstacles. I think there are days where I have given in to the obstacles, so I've not gotten out of bed and actually done something about it. I think it's like, for me, I set a reminder on my phone saying, do this, or for example, get out of bed when that alarm goes up, do not hit the snooze button. Because I know if I hit it, like, I'm just wasting time while all those extra people are working towards their goal, I'm sleeping, which doesn't help me at all. So you've got to actually say it out loud and see it. So for me, I do it on my phone and I can say, okay, I've got to do this. I have to do it, I have to complete it. And that's what gets me to the next stage. If I don't write it down, and I don't mean like typing it or something like that, I mean like actually getting a piece of paper and writing down my goals for the day, I will achieve them. Even if there's an obstacle, I'll find a solution. Eric's thing is, for every problem there is a solution. And
I love the way you said that too. Wilson?
Yeah, I agree.
No one else has any obstacles.
No, I think definiteness of purpose. If you've got like a clear vision, a clear overall vision that you're going towards, when an obstacle emerges, because you're so tuned in and so locked on that vision, it almost doesn't matter and you're more likely to find a solution. Whereas if you don't really have a massive vision that you are 100% committed to and an obstacle comes, that obstacle becomes bigger than your desire to achieve, so the obstacle is obviously going to win. So for me it's all about making sure my desire to achieve is higher than the obstacle. Things that I've failed at in the past, it's been because I kind of wanted it. Times where I've succeeded because in my mind it was the only option. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I used to work in a bowling alley and it was all going fine until the manager asked me to pick up some poo. At that point, my desire to leave became greater than my desire to stay.
Job was shit.
Literally. So from that point, starting a business wasn't this scary thing anymore. It was a must. So whatever obstacle came in the way, it did not matter because I was not working another day in that place. So yeah, you've got to have that clear purpose and be 100% committed to it. Then the obstacles don't matter so much.
I'm just blown away. 21? I wish I knew that stuff when I was 21. I was still playing with Lego.
In my spare time,
That's a good one.
It's true. I think obstacles, it's about understanding that to every problem there's always a solution. So it's alright if I fall over because all I do is just get back up, right? And what Kamal was saying there, it's about seeing the opportunity a lot bigger than the fear of that failure. Because the only thing that stops people with all this internal dialogue that happens, that little voice in your head, is just the fear of failing, the fear of falling over. But look, as kids, we always fell over. We just stood back up. But for some reason down the line, it's not acceptable to fall over anymore. And that's down to the conditioning through our upbringing, right? Because what would happen if you did something wrong in the class? Everyone would laugh at you, right? And then you fear that humiliation. But today, I think the thing that has contributed to my success a lot is just I don't have any fear. I can stand up here and do whatever I want, and I don't really care what other people think, as long as I know what I'm doing is right, and it's of value or helping people or whatever it is. And I think it's about getting rid of that fear, seeing that opportunity, and knowing where your goal is and just going for it.
A lot of you have very, very healthy mindsets. So how have you come to develop this mindset? Like, obviously not, like, so everybody was born with a brain, and everybody somewhere down the line it became infected and polluted and all this crap started jamming in. But then how do you clear all that out and just say, do you know what, that's it, that's fine, I'm still going to do this, and I'm going to overcome anything, and I am going to be successful.
So between us, we normally, every day, we hold a 3-hour Skype call where we just brainwash the hell out of each other, and that's what happens, and now we've all got healthy minds. Okay, jokes aside.
I think when you're like put in, like you have an obstacle, you have something, and you're put in like between a rock and a hard place, you kind of have to get out of it. Like, I think we've all been in situations where we hit like nearly rock bottom, or sometimes rock bottom, and you have to get out. And the only way you're going to do that is believe in yourself and do it. Otherwise you're going to stay there. So for me, that's how I changed my mindset. I was in between a rock and a hard place. I had no money. I needed to get a major multiple on board, which was Tesco's at the time. And everyone said, no, you can't do it. And I said, well, I've got to. There's no can't in this. And I pitched, and yeah, we got the contract. So I think that's how it works. I don't know if it's for everyone, but
So casual.
Tesco's.
My products just stopped all around the world. I'm only joking.
It's always hanging around with the right people is so important for me, because having red lighters, I call them, because they're drainers, they drain you, and some of them you can't change because they're your family. And so you, not that I would want to, not that I would change my family, I love them dearly, it's taken me a long time to just accept, I can't change them. And I have to surrender to that, and then everything is easy. So that was one of my, having to get new playmates and new friends, because
they would mention.
I did
I'm a divorce lawyer, by the way. But but it's just like just surrounding yourself with the right people. And what I found was, when I was really happy, when I started mentoring and started speaking to inspire women, I used to go to work, because I still was a lawyer full time at the time. I used to go on Monday morning, oh my God, I've had an amazing weekend, and did this and did that. And I didn't realise that people were actually getting jealous of why are you making more money than us? I was a top lawyer, and in the firm there was 450 people in there. I was a director, and through that they were getting rid of people, and I was the first one to go, because they could employ 4 people with my salary, or 2 directors. And yet, what about you? But this is why I think if I didn't have my properties, I would have been done, because my whole life fell apart as a lawyer, because that day, because all my trust had gone, the betrayal, the jealousy of people, because I was taking action. And that's when I had to step into my power and say, no more, and I need to take control of this. So it's about those obstacles and how to overcome them by surrounding yourself with the right people.
Friend things.
Friends.
But is it interesting, like, if we're unhealthy, we say, all right, let me check what I'm eating and start feeding my body the right things. And like, if we want to start working out, it's like, okay, what else am I going to put into my body, what am I going to do with my body? But never do we stop and say, okay, what am I letting into my mind? I had that realization in January 2013. And I just thought, hold on, I'm being really conscious of all this food, but I'm listening to negative music. I wake up and I watch the news, and I'm just like, I've surrounded myself with people who are bringing me down. Let me stop worrying about all these, what I'm putting into my body and stuff. Let me start focusing on what I'm putting into my mind. And I went on this month. I literally only did it for a month cleanse. If you weren't positive, I didn't hang around with you for that month. I wouldn't speak to you, I'm not replying to a text, just for a month, just to see what happens. I didn't watch any TV that was negative. I stopped EastEnders. I used to love EastEnders. I stopped EastEnders, all of that, and I only watched things that were inspiring to me or made me laugh. So I'm either being inspired or I'm laughing. And for a month, the results of my business were crazy in comparison to where it was before. I didn't do anything extra business-wise. I just made sure my mind was clear. So yeah, it's really interesting. You have to get to that point where you do a friend cleanse. Even if it's just for 30 days, try it.
Yeah.
Cut them out.
I like
30
that.
days.
Well, another one is the Facebook effect. Yeah? You're friends with all these people, who the hell are all these people? Someone really bugs you, you just unfriend them. Yeah?
I love doing that.
Life is like that. When there's a big obstacle, I view, come up with the ideas, I look at everything as an asset and liability. Yeah, so whereas normally it's numbers, you look at assets and liabilities, look at your life, look at the obstacles of asset and liability. So it's great, I guess, someone saying, just overcome the obstacle, just forget it, just treat it as normal and overcome it. But actually, if you're stuck in it, it's very hard. Yeah? And if you just say to yourself, okay, I've got this issue, I've got this obstacle in my way, it could be a life one, it could be a business one. What assets do I have? What liabilities do I have? And call on the assets in to try and overcome that obstacle. Yeah, and the assets could be people, it could be resource, it could be financial, it could be anything. Yeah, but what assets do you have to get through that point? And another mindset change is to look at things as an inconvenience, and if you're in business, as a growing pain, not stress. It's an inconvenience or a growing pain. Yeah, all the people, they say, oh, I'm stressed. No, it's inconvenience or growing pain. It's a bit more positive. But also understand that, you know, good doesn't exist without bad. You have to accept that bad's in life, but you don't know what good looks like.
That's true.
Absolutely.
Yeah? So all, you know, whilst I'm an advocate of surround positive people, get rid of all the negativity, that's a bad thing. You need some of it.
I think that too. I think it was actually really hard for me because I remember a great mentor many years ago said to me about changing my friends. He said, Eric, why are you hanging around with these idiots?
Sorry about that.
You're one exception that I can hang around with. I like issues. Yeah, stop hanging around with these idiots. Look, this was when I was 23, I think, and said, you know, stop going out and partying with these people. Look at you, you're in business, you're more successful than these people, you've got a bright future ahead of you. And I looked at this guy and I was like, why are you telling me who I should be and shouldn't be friends with? And I was thinking, but these are my friends, I've grown up with these people. It's, you know, I'm not going to defriend them, and I'm not going to look down on these people. And so I couldn't do it. I was offended by it. Until actually recently when again, there was another lesson I learned from Jared Robbins where he talked about the 33% rule. And I thought, you know, this kind of goes in with what Lyndon's talking about. I think it works so well. It's not about, you don't need to change your friends. It's not about changing your friends. You know, don't go from this conversation and say, hey, you know, I'm not your friend anymore. Bye. You end up with no friends, right? And it's just like, I'm only hanging around with successful people. But instead, you can look at a 33% rule as in you've got 33% of your friends who are at the same level as you, because it's so important to have common conversation. If everyone was better than you wouldn't feel very good, right? It's like you don't even have the right conversations after them. And then the next 33% is the other people who are beyond your level, right? Whether it's financially, spiritually, personally, wherever it is, right? They're beyond that level. And from those people, it's so important to have these people because they're the people who help you grow and you can learn from and you pick up so much knowledge and stuff. And obviously, it's cool to have that. But then having that, the other 33%, which are not quite at your level yet, the people who you can give back, the people who you can help, because everyone has the need for contribution and to need to help people. And another thing as well, when you teach people, you learn. Every time you teach, you learn. So it's great having that group of people where you can start pulling them up and then you start going up and you shift all of the levels up at the same time. And I feel that's the most healthiest answer and the healthiest way to think about it. Not about changing your friends. Don't think about friends, I think it's about changing. It's about thinking about your peer group, the people you hang around with.
What happens if you've only got one friend? Lyndon said he only had one friend.
I'm going
Keep to change it. Unfriended.
I'm off to Australia. Yeah, you've got no friends. Well, that's a nice battle to have, which is with yourself.
Yeah.
Probably need to think why you don't have any friends.
Go out and make them. Awesome. Okay, I think we're going to start wrapping this up. So, how do you balance out your business life with your work life? Obviously, you guys are all very busy people. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here today and for answering our questions. So, how do you balance that out? You know, you've got your life, you've got your business, you've got everything running. How do you prioritize what you need to do on a day-to-day basis and make sure that you have time for the things that are important to you? Because I mean, it's not all about money, is it?
WhatsApp. Keep in touch with your kids.
You've got a divorce lawyer sitting there.
Maybe that's why.
Yeah.
For me, I live in London half the week, Wales the other half of the week, and yeah, joking aside, I do keep in touch on WhatsApp. It's about just being there on the sports days with the kids from a life point of view. Make sure plenty of holidays, you know, it doesn't matter if it's a caravan somewhere or if it's a silly expensive one in Dubai or something. Just make sure you just have that quality time and blocking periods of time out in your diary. So I either tend to block mornings out or weeks, sometimes the odd month, out of my diary. No appointments, not meeting anyone, and then I'm in control. I don't have a PA. I think that's the important thing. Because if a PA controls your diary, then they control your life. Yeah, and PA stands for a little bit of, you know, exaggeration, pain in the ass. So I don't know, PAs do too well. So I control my own diary. That's another major factor. Managing diary. PAs are just glory and a bit of ego kicking in there.
But the I8 is
The i8 is a BMW.
it's a car you hate.
It's a BMW on my 8. It's a BMW.
I wonder if Lyndon could just tell us what he really thinks of PAs.
Rebrand yourself. If anyone's a PA, rebrand it.
They're VAs now.
Manage your own diary. That's the main
Manage,
thing.
absolutely, I think so, manage my own diary.
I think also the key on that is manage your own diary, but again, like you said, Lyndon, is you block out things. I block out things for everything. You know, I block out things for my son, I block out business meetings, everything like that. Holidays, I block everything out, so literally I run everything on my diary. Even, you know, I went through a period where I realised I just wasn't spending enough time in personal development. I thought, I've got to learn more stuff, and I'm not a massive reader, so I thought if I just do it when I've got time, then I'm never going to do it. So I thought, well, okay, I need to schedule time in my diary, make an appointment with myself. So I have like 3 appointments a week with myself to just develop myself.
Yeah, sorry, what's that? Did you what? What the shop you said?
Develop, yeah. So I have 3 appointments a week with myself to develop myself. And it's a lot of fun, yeah. It's very satisfactory. I get a lot of joy out of that.
Let's keep it.
No, it's fine.
Keep that one in.
But you know, I think it's good that you do organise yourself like that. I think people say
we don't understand the self bit.
self-organise. but so I think really but self-organising is important because, like you said, your time is your time. It's valuable. There's only 24 hours in a day, and you know the whole 8-8-8 rule. You know that most people spend 8 hours sleeping, 8 hours working, 8 hours doing something else, and you know, we've got to decide what we're going to do with those hours, because once we spend them, they're gone, you know, and we can't get them back. So it is really our most valuable resource. So I think if you can organise and maximise that time through good time management, that's a big plus.
Awesome.
I think it depends on your personal values. You talk about balance out your life, whether it's like fun, adventure, and your personal life, business life. I think sometimes, I mean, prior to this year, I think the last 4 years I've just been on non-stop business. And people would look at it and say, whoa, you know, you look really stressed out or you have a lot of work, but I didn't feel it because I love it. And it's just something I love. And when work can when you treat work as, it's fun. So I didn't feel it at all. But then the important thing that I learned, towards the end of last year was actually about balancing out those values and understanding what your true values are. Because when you start, what Steve was talking about before, everyone's given the same 24 hours and it depends how you use it. People say, I haven't got time. Yes, you have time, it's just you don't make time, that's all. We're all given the same, right? From us to everybody else out there, to Richard Branson, we all have the same 24 hours, but it's how we use it, to reach our dreams and our goals. And one thing that really made a big difference to the way I balance out my life, especially this year, is understanding my values. I think when you ask people what are their true values, they will always say, in priority, they will always say family, love, relationships, adventure, fun, giving, making money, business. And then when you say, okay, now look at your time schedule and how you spend every single day of your life, and prioritize it, really, like put the priority there. So, and then it goes, they look at it and they think, how do I spend most of my time? Business, work, Facebook, family, health.
EastEnders.
and then you say, but I thought your values are health and relationship and love and all the rest of it. And then that's when you start realizing, wait there a second, I'm not living what I want to live. And that was a big realization moment for me. And the interesting thing was making the shift from the last 4 years where it's non-stop working to this year where I've balanced it out. I've been traveling, I've just been spending time with my family and been running the same businesses. My businesses are still running exactly the same, where I've took 50% of my time just doing other stuff. It's actually just running the same, but it's how you organize that time. And a great thing that I learned also recently was somebody said, if you want more time in your life, in your schedule, it's really, really simple. He said, the secret is stop spending time doing stupid
Things.
And it's true. We spend so much time just scrolling Facebook. And then we complain about not having enough time. And then trust me, the people who complain like that, trust me, you give them an extra hour in a day, they're still not going to have enough time because they'll spend that extra hour scrolling Facebook stuff. So I think it's about just scheduling it and you'll have time.
They will get to see more cat videos though, so every cloud.
That's a clap.
Yeah. Just to add to that, just because it's one of the things I think as well is when you do schedule that time, it's you've got to make that time really, really work for you. So I mean, for example, obviously I've got a 6-year-old, I love being a daddy, and so when I have that time with my son, it's Micah daddy time, and that means I don't take a call, I don't answer a text. Someone said to me once that quality time is when you give someone your undivided attention. And so for me, I didn't used to do that. I used to be the guy that, my son's playing on the swings and I've got my phone and oh, good job, buddy, and might take a picture, but really I was still working. I wasn't really being a dad. I was just being someone who's making sure he doesn't fall off the swings, and so that wasn't quality time. So I thought when they said that to me, I kind of got real convicted about that. Man, I'm just a terrible dad. I need to actually spend quality time. So it's quite a few years ago now, and I just decided that this time's going to be really, really focused on him. So it goes back to what Linda said about focus. For me, that was focus in my family life, and I think if you apply that,
switch off and then be present.
That's right. And if you do that in all those areas, those appointments with other people and yourself, then you get better results.
It's really difficult.
Well, I don't know what you guys are thinking,
Our minds are going crazy right now.
No, not because the vision is too short.
I would just say, it's a constant battle for me because, I have to always be aware of it, that I have to have work-life balance, family, because family is my number one value. And my daughter is a constant reminder of that because she goes, Mum, you've got to... Because I didn't have very much money when I was on my own and my family didn't, I'm always going out there, and it's never enough. And therefore, my daughter is a great constant reminder. She goes, "We don't need it, Mum. We need you." And so it's constantly, it's a reminder for me to say, right, you know what, it's time to play. And she does it all. She's a constant reminder to me and say, right, we need to schedule time for us, and we have to put it in a diary, otherwise somebody else will get in there. And so it's a constant reminder.
It's really good though, because my dad, on my 18th, he came to my boat party and I took his phone and I chucked it off the boat. That's how I told him I didn't want. I didn't. Well, it was the
I'm glad you're not the dad.
It was the one day he was not going to be working, and he promised. He never breaks promise. And he took a phone call, so I took it and chucked it off.
And so how did you feel about that?
No, the rest of the night he was really happy.
Oh.
Just not on Monday morning, probably.
Because you bought a new phone.
I don't think there's like a one size fits all, because I've got engaged last year. So for me now, I've got engaged, I've moved out of my house into a house with my fiance. I've now realised that I'm always in work mode. Because it's like, oh, let's watch a movie. I'm answering emails, I'm with you, and it's this constant back and forth. So now I'm realising, like saying, that focus, that for this hour, I am with you. And I'm not going to lie and say I've mastered it yet, I'm still kind of getting to it. And it's at the point where she will take it out of my hand and put it down on the desk, and it's like that. But it's a constant battle because you're obviously, self-employed, working for yourself. You are the business. If you go to sleep, the business is asleep, kind of thing, unless you've got systems. So for me, it is just about literally, like you say, mapping out. Today, I'm working for 5 hours. I'm working, like honey, I'm working, and that's all I do. But then as soon as I get home, like 8 o'clock, it's switched off. And this is like family time, or for me, fiance time. I haven't got family yet, soon. But it's her time kind of thing. But yeah, it is an ongoing battle. There's no one size fits all. You just got to kind of experiment with it, find what works, find what works for you.
Guess who won? The marriages or the phone?
Yeah, don't take your fiancé on a boat.
So if you guys were all given one sentence for parting advice to everyone, what would it be?
I don't think any of us can do anything in one sentence.
You've got like 4 to 5 speakers here.
One sentence. We're going to make it challenging.
For what?
Parting advice to everyone.
Goodbye. Lyndon.
Oh, thanks. In one sentence,
Yeah.
don't listen to us. And there's something in that. It's listen to yourself. Yeah, because the world is full of a bit more than one sentence.
We'll allow it.
Semicolon.
Semicolons. Yes. The world is full of information. Facebook, LinkedIn. Absorb with all this data coming into your heads. You come to talks, you read books. It's everywhere. And yet we're a nation of one-man bands. It's because people don't action what they're learning. And that's the important thing. So one bit of advice, action what you learn.
Awesome. No one else has thought of anything yet.
Okay, really simple, just do it. Do it and do it and do it until the job gets done, as like William says. You just got to just take action and do it, and if you fall over, then get back up and try again, and that's the biggest problem with most people, is they just don't actually take that risk and do it. So, well, it's just 2 words really. Do it.
Just do it. Like no.
Trademark issues, yeah. Copyright. Do it.
Mine would be to look at everything you're currently doing and aim a little higher. Simply just, what little thing can I do? So when I'm working here, what little thing can I do differently that would take it up a notch? Focus on those little changes, and then eventually they relate to large changes. So look at everything you're doing and aim a little higher.
Awesome.
Yeah, mine is actually listen to yourselves and believe in yourself. Not just listen, believe in yourself. And have that inner critic, which is that little voice of ours, and actually take control of that and just say, if I can't, I must. What positive words are you saying to yourselves? And I've constantly got to say those words to myself, because when you're going to the next level is that something new? And therefore you're out of your depth. and therefore, you know, you train your little voice to say, I can do this, I can do this, and constantly you're achieving. Before you know it, you've got to your destiny.
That was a paragraph, Linda.
She's a lawyer, she's allowed.
So the reason why people, you know, don't succeed is because they don't take action. And the reason people don't take action is because they have a fear of failure. But then to understand that there's no such thing as failing, and there's only giving up. And if you never give up, you'll never fail. So you just keep going. There's no failing.
That was 2 paragraphs.
We saved the best for last.
Doesn't want to be sued by a lawyer.
I'm going to add to what everyone else has said. It's all about don't hit that snooze button in the morning. Like, no matter how bad you feel, no matter how much you want to give up, keep going. Like, dress up, get up, and show up. Like, make sure you show up to work and push your business forward if that's what you want to do. If you're not 100% there, then throw the towel in at this point.
Good.
Thank you everyone for watching.